G'day and welcome to another video. I'm at my packing station. The inspiration behind this particular video is I got mentioned on Woody's channel, and thanks very much for that. And it gave me an idea to make a monorail, because I got one, but I'm not going to use it anymore because I'm building a train. So the rails still exist, and I just thought, hey, maybe it might be fun to make a sort of a chopper inspired, high speed monorail that can run those rails. But I thought also this one doesn't work. This part of the steering control is too far back away from the back tyres. So you can see just trying to fiddle around with this particular one would be too hard to make the changes. So I'll go through a quick primer on how to get started on doing some monorail crafting and sort of how to get yourself sorted out first. So one of the first things I do is on my lift I'll make a template, and a jig or a stand as well. So basically what I want is a shape that's not going to fall over. So basically I'm just spreading out 4 arms. And then I need to make my rail, so a post and my rail. So my post and my rail is short here, fairly long there, and then the post down. So what I want to do is do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to make my post for my rail, make it fairly high so I've got space to work under it, because we will need to get in underneath it to work on it once we're working. So that post is probably a little bit too short. I'll make it just a little bit higher. So this represents the post that holds up our railway, and then it comes across. I'm pretty sure mine goes up 4. Have I got that right? 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. No, I don't. And then this rail is where we're going to work. Now I can immediately, you guys should probably see it as well, is that is too tall. How are we possibly going to work on a construction that high? Well, this is how you can build some steps for yourself. So you can jump up. I'll strip this down just real quick and then we'll rebuild it. I'll rebuild it over there. Now the beauty of that test stand is if we need to move it around or get it closer to our other rail, that's all good to go. So from a how to build your stairs point of view, scrap mechanics like us, we can jump as high as you can see. So we can actually see that's in front of our face. We can't see that, the top of that, but we can see the row behind. So if I chop that row off and just lay 2 blocks, we can jump up that height. So same again. Obviously we can't see over that one, but we can see this one, so we can place our blocks here. 2 deep. And then here we are, we're up close to our working height. I was just having a look to see how much further we need to go. I'll do one more step. I'll actually do a fairly deep step here so we can stand on it while we're working, and then I'll do another one out on the end for us to actually work on. So now we are sorted out. Now some of the features of the monorail is the steering at the front. So to explain that, I got myself a suspension. I do have a suspension, I just need a tyre. I've got a project box here. So the way to think about what we're trying to do is actually we've got a few tyres. I'll just get a few. So if we put the tyre on the ground and we use this line as a representation of our rail, we need tyres on either side of the rail that maintain the pressure on the sides. So what we're looking at is top-down view. Now the key thing to make this thing we're working on work is the tyres are arranged with a beam with a bearing on the middle, and then that goes out away from the train with the suspension, and then with a block on the end of that, and then they are attached to each other over the top into the other side. Now that mechanism with the bearing in the middle allows those tyres to turn back and forth like a fishtail, and then the suspension is to take the pressure off on the sides to push the train back to the right way, or to allow it to have a give against the other side. If we're going around a corner or something that's like 45 degrees or 2 blocks wide. So this allows up to 4 blocks width of movement between those tyres, which is what it's all about. But here, I noticed on this particular build, I didn't have any tyres grabbing the back of the rail. I only had the centre steering ones here. And what that does is it means that the car wants to turn really tightly, really fast, really aggressively, and doesn't keep the back tyre on the rail no matter what we do. So what we need to do is add let me grab another set of tyres. What we need to grab is another set of tyres with the rail down the middle, and these guys are also on suspension as well, so they need to have the suspension to the side. Now each one of these suspensions has to be really high rated suspension, and you need to push it all the way up for both of them. We're talking about this is what's keeping your monorail car and all of its mass lined up with the rails, but this is the one that allows it to actually turn. So it can turn pretty tight, and it can climb as well. So for climbing this particular build, what I want to do is get the big tyres and put them on the front and see if we can make something look a bit cooler and go a bit faster. But this build, these wheels have to come forward of these ones, so that's what the plan is, and we'll get in and get building. So hopefully it's made a little bit of sense to you. It'll make more sense when we get building. Now, some of the issues that you have when you're building something like this monorail is, how do you know where everything's meant to line up? So I use some scaffolding blocks. So I'll just take a piece of scaffold there and I'll bring it out. And then now we need to work out how far down or up a piece of construction might need to go. So if we're talking about the small tyres, I'll just grab that one. And if I put it on that block, I'm now too high over the rail, knock it out. Does that line up? So now we have a look. Yep, that's in the right spot. That's lined up. So I now know that tyre is in the right spot for what we're trying to do. So now, from a scaffolding point of view, we've got the bar. So what we want to do is just work out, where's the tyre going to go. So the tyre is possibly going to go just there. So let's get the other tyre and put it on that pin. You can see it doesn't want to go there, so it's obviously not quite the right spot. Pull it out a bit more. Let's put the tyre on it. Now that tyre is too low. Is it too low? No, so it's in the right spot for alignment. And then they're out of alignment for up and down. So from a scaffold point of view, we're still incorrect. So now that's where we want the tyres. But from this vehicle you can see there's a stack of 2, so both of them actually have to go down 1. So that is the right position for the tyres. I hope this is sort of making sense to everybody. I'm building it from the rail and the wheels point of view, not trying to get something, build it and then try and weld it on with the hope that, hey, I got everything right. So this way means that we know that component, which is really important, is in the right spot. Now the question I have, is that too many blocks apart? We've actually got 3 blocks there. Should I have just 1 block and then the other part? And that's what I think I might do. So I'm going to see if I can change the position of the wheels. What does that look like? Is that going to work? So no, I want to go the spot in between. Sorry. But once we've got this, we can get building real quick. Alright, I want one block in the middle, that looks much better. Okay, so the build for this is, these are the parts that have the suspension. I'll use my metal for this particular build. I want to put a bearing in the middle. I want to put a block on it. I want to get that high powered suspension piece which is glitching out down here on us. Don't know where it went. Here it is. I want this piece here. This component is the most important part to get right, so once you got this sorted out, you're all good to go with the rest of it. So there we go, and now we want to just duplicate that on the other side. Now here's where working on a frame actually becomes really useful to us. I can actually pop this off the frame and use the lift again, but I'll need to be able to do the weld on. But because I'm just mirroring this far side, the actual you know, how to build it is already been done for me. I just have to, you know, duplicate what we've got. So it's actually 4 plus 2. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 1 on the end. So it's down, come down there 2. Put the suspension on, which is down there for now. I'll just use that one. I will change the suspensions. No, I'll upgrade it. Put the suspension piece in, the block. It's got the bearing underneath it. This is the bar that's going to hold the tyres. It's 2 to the side, 2 to the side, and it's got the bearings that hold the tyres on. I can see that one's one block too long. There we go. Grab some tyres. Have to start stripping the other one soon. Nope, strip it now. So it's actually the same mechanism. So our tyres, so we've got one tyre equal with the rail, and this one is below the rail. Now the reason for that is for climbing up and down. The closer together that these are, the tighter the turn that actually works with no problem at all. Now, so we've got all that worked out. What we'll do now is I'll put it back on the lift. I'm going to weld the crossbar to the road, the rail track. Now the reason to do that is it then gives us opportunity now to take the scaffold out and have a better view of what it's going to look like. So those wheels are attached. Now a trick for people, I'm taking these off because the bearings were attached to the tyres. Now if I put them on the post, when you use your rotation tool, it will make sense to you as opposed to being reversed, because the bearings were on, and because we're working with so many tyres and so many bearings in such a small place, it makes a help. So we've got our centering component done. Now the reason to do that first is that's the part that determines how well you stay on the rail. Now what we need to do is a similar component at the back with side wheels. So we had our tyres down here on the ground and they were pretty close together. So we're going to do exactly the same thing, but we're only going to use, we're not going to do the center pivot. Just got to decide how I want to do it today. I'll use the lift for the minute. I'm going to set up a bar from the outside. Because I know this position of this outer beam is already in the right spot to get the suspension in the right spot, I can use it to pull it out towards us. and then it's a matter of distance downways and where the tyre fits. So here again, I'm just trying to suss out where the tyre is. That's too close. That looks nice. So now we've got a center line. We can come down one block to put our suspension on. Grab some suspension. So now we've got our suspension in the right spot, and we've got our wheel where we want it as well. And this is a sideways wheel. Now this one is to keep the back wheels aligned, but it allows the front of the front of the contraption to move around a lot more. So the force on this suspension is a lot higher than the force on this suspension, so this one has a higher chance to center the vehicle. So that's what we're doing there. So I'll just clean that up. So now, because we've got our positions with like 2 rods, we should be able to square up for the other side without too much problems as well. So we know we've come off this build component on the other side. Just trying to line ourselves up. Make sure from a look point of view, well, now we can use, using tier 3 metal, you can see that the pattern stops there. So that one and that one is where we need to be. No, that one, because we've got an edge on it. So there, and then we drop our block down underneath, put our suspension piece in, and our underside is done. So this is the component that keeps you grabbing on the rail. Again, it needs to be 2 tyres tall. Grab 2 more. And that's to do with your up and down on the hills. So just check from above our symmetry. Oh, sorry guys, anyone watching? Yes, I fumble fingers just like everybody else. Okay, there we go. From a symmetry point of view, we're 1 block out. So there we go. So it's not too bad. I'll drop that one off, use my welding tool, and I'll stick it back up. It goes that side on that block. So there we go. Now wheels are lined up. So as you work on your creation, just that I'll check for symmetry, and we're good. So now I want to get my motorcycle sort of look going. I like the saddle. It looks really cool. So I put my center line in. So I want my saddle somewhere here. Now I had a problem driving off the rails when I didn't have my wheel centered over there. So it looks like I'll tag this down here. I might make... okay, I'm talking to myself, but now I will share my ideas. If I bring a beam across and a beam across, I can delete this beam here. No. Yes. And I can delete this one here. And now I've got access to a space where I want to put tyres. And I've spotted that it's only 3 blocks across. So if I want to put tyres in here, I've only got a very tight space to use. So it looks like I'm not going to be able to use my awesome big tyres, because they are too tall. So if we put 2 in, we're 4 blocks when we only can fit 3 blocks. Otherwise we can try and put it further back, but we need to put it back in that space there. How much forward? I'm trying to go with the new design, and I'm getting myself caught up with the little intricacies of what's going to work and what's not going to work. Because because I don't want to make it too long. What I'm trying to do is a stack of these tyres. Is quite tall in a number of blocks. So to fit that in, I need 4 blocks of clearance, and they're quite round, so they actually take up a fair bit of space. And what I'm wanting to do is not put my rail tracking tyres forward of this suspension piece that's grabbing the front of the vehicle. So if I come off there, so that is not the plan. Alright, let's get the small wheels back in. So I'll get a beam across first, strap it to the rail, delete this one, so to get a wheel in that space, I need to get 3 wheels. We can see that we can get right on the same height as that bearing, but because the bearing is underneath, the actual piece just needs to punch back and forth like a piston. So that location there gives us our location for our 3 tyres. Have I got any I can reach? Yeah, the reason to go 3 wide is, if you can imagine, we're turning left, so that the tyre will slip off the rail to the side and off to the rail on the other side. So that's what they're for. And these suspensions are to push those tyres back to the centre. So we've got tyres there. I was going to put large tyres on to see if that helps for hill climbing, but just from a location point of view, we're not going to be able to fit them in nice at all because everything's 3 across. Do I want to... Not too hard. Okay, and now we just need the rear wheels. Same idea. I'm going to actually bring them back past these ones. I'm going to put it back here to do with how the machine sways. So I'm just going to pull out a bar, pull it across. Here's our bearing and our tyre stuck on the end. No, need to go higher. So far we are pretty close to having a functional... Where are all my tyres? Very close to having a functional monorail. So what we have so far will work. So it's down to styling and prettying it up and all that sort of stuff. But one of the big things is the counterweight, to make sure that there's enough downforce to get you around the ups and downs. Oh, deleted my tyre. Deleted my tyre stack. So, not perfect. I make mistakes just like everybody else. So there we have a functional cart. Okay, so visual glitches, that's just a suspension visual glitch. Alright, we'll grab the seat off this one. Actually, I want more than the seat. Break that there. I'll grab the seat, I'll grab the engine. Should grab the engine first. Okay, make a quick deck. Just kind of got to remember where the mobile parts are. So you can see there, those tyres are on an angle here because of that hinging that we've got to allow that swinging motion. So yeah, so just basically prettying up right now so we can put our seat on, and I'll put it in the middle because it looks cool. Make that the front because that's what it is. Put the gas engine on. See, gas engine, that's all we're doing. Put it up a bit of power to start with. We'll see if we can flick ourselves off the track. Okay, another thing which is really handy is, especially for creations like a monorail, is give yourself a block at the back which you use for welding. So now if we weld that to, which one will I use? I'll use this one. Our vehicle's on the track, but what we need to do is get a counterweight on, so that's what I disconnected here. So I'll weld this one. Can't quite reach it. It's tier 3 metal, sorry, tier 3 concrete, so it's quite heavy. Hopefully by balance we're in the middle. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty close to the middle, so I'll break that weld, see what we get. We are stable. Push these suspensions right up. At least 3. That's 3. Okay, we've got a bit of suspension difference between left and right, but it shouldn't affect this. Alright, we should be able to go. Oh no, no fuel. I forgot to fuel it. Oh no, got fuel in it. We should be good to go. Ah, no, haven't connected bearings. Alright, let's get that done. So the bearings we want for sure are the side bearings on the wheel stack and the rear wheel stack, and then if your engine's pretty good you can run your side wheels at the front. That's the right way, that's the right way. Wrong way. Wrong way. Wrong way. Right way. Okay. Did I get it right? Just going slow just to see what we've got happening. See how the power of the suspension is not right and we've flipped around? So to stop that we need to put a stopper blocks to prevent them from flipping right around. So to do that we need to put it on the lift because it's it puts everything back in the build back into the correct position, so that those wheels could be 180 degrees from where we checked it. So what we're finding is the suspension is pushing back and they're spinning around. Now, problem. Because the suspension can push back. We can't do it. We have to... How do we have to do this? Oh, we can use a center pin under the bearing, like this. And another pin under the bearing, like that. And now, if we put a stopper, say in that position, the stopper can move backwards and forwards, but it will prevent a rotation. Does that make sense to everybody? So block out there, one there, there. So that'll be able to swing left and right, push out towards us, but it won't be able to rotate fully like we had going. So let's give that another go. We've got some blocks up on here. We'll use this time for welding. So we'll use that welding block we made to make it easy for ourselves. Weld it on. Now we've got a seat in there somewhere. Jump on, use the seat. Now if I take these blocks away, what I also like to do is replace them again if we're doing testing, so I can come back and put my car on again, no problem. So let's take it for another test drive. I got past that pretty good. Let's have a look what's going on here. I think we have a bearing set the wrong way around. This is where the center weight helps. We are off the rails. Yeah, so you can see that the close side bearing set has flicked past the stopper. So if I'm lucky, I'll stay on the car, put some blocks on the track, grab the weld spot. If I'm out of the way, and then put it back on. So now the question comes about, what was it that caused the problem, and is it something resolvable or not? And do we have a wheel going the wrong way? So short term, I think what I'll do is I'll disconnect the under tyres. They only take a lot of load during cornering, so we can still get away with just the tyres on top of the bar. And then I know that we're not facing a engine or bearing issue of things pointing the wrong way. And we are travelling really fast for a monorail. So here's those suspensions and the cornering. So we got around there. Okay, that was me backing off because I wasn't sure we were going to launch. So our bar on our counterweight is too short. And once we're set up, we are set up. We're going to weld this on. See if I can grab that seat. Right, this part through here is really tight. I'm just going slow because I don't want to flip off if I don't need to. Okay, here's where we can see that the back tyres are too low. See, they're one block lower than the rest of the tyres, and that's what stopped us on this corner. That's pretty good. So I'm going to call the video there, guys. I'll make that change, and I think I'm going to be able to get a fair bit of speed out of this. Some modifications I can make to track is to make it a block or two, so it's actually 3 blocks deep when you're looking at the rail, which should make it faster. So yeah, I fixed that tyre issue. Actually, it looks like the front set can come up a little bit too on this layout. So I might raise the front tyres. Raise the tyres. If I raise the driving tyres higher, that'll bring the frame. Oh, I don't know what I want to do. No, I want to push them down. I want to do exactly the opposite. Anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the little tutorial of how to make a monorail. Yeah, I can definitely go faster. It's just a matter of just a little tweaks, and we'll see what we can do to get there in the first place. Thanks very much. Bye.